Hello, this is Dr. Hassan with Innovate, and this is presentation number 7. The title of this presentation, How Do I Generate the Next Big Idea? The next slide is a disclaimer for you to read. References, the first reference is S.J. Pernis, Optimize the Magic of Your Mind. And I was a student to Dr. Pernis, where also I use his lecture notes as a reference. And the second reference, G. Al-Shura, also known by H. Altov, and suddenly the inventor appeared. G. Al-Shura is the founder of truth theory. And the third reference is Wikipedia. What is the big idea? Is the big idea an opportunity for a breakthrough invention or innovation? Will it transform the world? Will it have or will not have a great impact on civilization? Will it materialize to a device, an object, composition, or a process that had never discovered or existed before? So the big idea is really all of the above. We need something really new, something will materialize to a device, something that we can monetize and make profit out of it. This is the big idea. The big idea is something successful. It is the success itself. So how we make a big idea? We will first review some big ideas we have known in our history, in our recent history. We will review, for instance, the light bulb, the telephone, the car, the airplane, the radar, and many others. Incandescent light bulb, 1878, Thomas Edison, lived in the period 1847 to 1931, began serious research into developing a practical incandescent lamp in 1878. Edison filed his first patent application for improvement in electric lights on October 14, 1878. After many experiments with platinum, Davy 1802, and the first carbon filament, Joseph Swan, December 18, 1878, Edison returned to enhance the carbon filament. The first successful test by Edison was on October 21, 1879. He lasted 45 hours. He used carbonized cotton thread. Edison Electric Company stock soared that day. Few months later, Edison and his team discovered that the carbonized bamboo filament could last over 1,200 hours, which is a great improvement over the carbonized cotton thread. The second great invention or big idea is the telephone, 1876. Credit for the invention of the electric telephone is frequently disputed. There are several inventors who did pioneering experimental work on voice transmission over a wire and improved on each other's idea. Manzetti, Newsetti, Rice, and Gray, and Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Edison, among others, have all credited with pioneering work on the telephone. An undisputed fact that Alexander Graham Bell was the first to be awarded a patent for the electric telephone by the United States Patent and Trademark Office in March 1876. That first patent by Bell was the master patent of the telephone, from which all other patents for electric telephone devices and features flowed. So the telephone credit goes to Bell. Automobiles, 1885. Carl Friedrich Benz is acknowledged as the inventor of the modern automobile. An automobile powered by his own four-stroke cycle gasoline engine was built in Mannheim in 1885 and granted a patent in January 1886. He began to sell his production vehicle in 1888. And a picture of the oldest vehicle you can see here, actually, in front of you. Airplane. On December 17, 1903, the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur Wright, introduced the primary successful powered air of flight at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, flying over the spot 4 times. By 1905, the Wright Flyer 3 was capable of fully controllable, stable flight for substantial periods of time. The radar, 1904. The record of radar will indicate that it started in the year 1904. Christian Holzmeier, a German engineer, created an apparatus able to find an object's presence some distance away. No single researcher found the contemporary radar. Researchers from a number of countries worked on it, mainly during the 30s and 40s, and was used intensively during the Second World War. The radio, 1906, Canadian-American engineer Reginald Aubrey Fessenden transmitted the first radio broadcast of voice and music from Brant Rock, Massachusetts on Christmas Eve, 1906, and is picked up by ships within a radius of several hundred miles. 1906, Lee D. Forrest developed a 3-electrode vacuum tube amplifier that will be the basis of an electronic revolution. He developed a radio using triode, and he then broadcast the voice of Mirko Caruso in 1910. In 1916, the first radio news was broadcast by Lee D. Forrest, who was established a radio station. So clearly the history of the radio then evolved to vacuum tube radios and became really a luxury in each household. Synthetic rubber, 1929. Belgian-born Julius Newland, 1878 to 1936, was a man of the cloth and artificial fabric. In 1929, the Notre Dame Catholic University graduate discovered that acetylene could be polymerized into elastic substance. 2 years later, DuPont, which funded his research, marketed the material as neoprene, a synthetic rubber still favored for tires, cable insulation, wetsuits, and beverage coolers. The television, 1927. At age 15, Folio Taylor Farnsworth, 1906 to 1971, presented his high school chemistry teacher with a design for electronically transmitting images over long distances. 4 years later, he developed a cathode ray tube for image making, a vacuum tube in which electrons illuminate a phosphorus surface. In 1927, he transmitted the first all-electronic image, a horizontal line. Farnsworth spent his later years working on missile guidance systems and nuclear fusion, but his first invention had the bigger impact on the world, the TV, which is a very interesting device that's still used in every household. Xerography, 1938. Alec H. Reeves, 1902 to 1971, laid the foundation for the digital age. Working as an engineer at International Telephone and Telegraph, Reeves developed a communication system that could transform voice signals into electronic pulses. Abstractly, ones and zeros, send them along standard phone lines and transfer them into an analog signal at the receiving end. The system enabled signal to travel long distances without distortion. Decades later, his pulse code modulation system became the basis for fiber optic CD players, cell phones, and the internet telephony. Electronic computer, 1942. Iowa State College physicist John V. Atonasov, 1903 to 1995, drew the idea for the first computer on the back of napkin in 1942. Atonasov received little credit until a patent case acknowledged his work in 1973. Nuclear power, 1945. In August 1945, the Manhattan Project produced the first atomic bomb, Los Alamos, Nevada. In 1957, the world's first nuclear reactor went online at Shippingport, Pennsylvania, supplying power to the Pittsburgh area. The transistor. No invention in the last 85 years plus has had a great impact on the world than the transistor. William B. Shockley at Bell Labs, John Bardeen, and Walter H. Brattain noticed that when electrical signals were applied to contacts on germanium crystal, the output was greater than the input. Their discovery revolutionized electronics by replacing vacuum tube and mechanical relays and opened the door for future breakthroughs in semiconductor and microchips. The three inventors received a Nobel Prize for physics in 1956. The word transistor came from the term transfer resistor. So if you don't know, you know it now. Transfer resistor, which acted as an amplifier. Cellular phone, 1947. While at Bell Labs, D.H. Ring dreamed up a mobile telephone service that used low-power transmitters sprinkled throughout targeted calling areas, each area called a cell, and this is where the name cellular phone came from. The cellular or mobile phone was invented by Dr. Martin Cooper of Motorola, Inc. in 1973. Dr. Cooper placed the first ever call on a mobile phone. The word mobile phone is widely used in Europe, while in the United States we prefer to use cell phone, cellular phone. Fortran, 1954. John W. Backus, born 1924, led a group of IBM engineers who developed the first high-level computer programming language, replacing the abstract gibberish of assembler language with the words of English and the familiar symbols of algebra. Fortran became a lingua franca in the physical sciences and served as the foundation for nearly every programming code since. So we have many languages now, especially the C++. The World Wide Web, 1991. Software consultant Tim Berners-Lee developed Inquire, a program that linked documents from various computers around the world, effectively granting a visa to the masses to travel through cyberspace without moving their homes. Mark Anderson brought further order in 1993 by creating Mosaic, a program that allowed people to view pictures as well as words. 2 years later came Netscape, Firefox, a point-and-click browser that made surfing an indoor sport and ushered in the area of high-flying internet public stack offerings. The iPod, 2001. Apple introduced its portable music player in October 2001. At the time, the portable MP3 playing device on the market were bulky appliances that suffered from limited storage and clunky interfaces. Apple engineers designed an improved device that was more compact, easier to use, and automatically synchronized with a user's music library. The iPad that emerged held 1,000 songs in ultra-portable 6.5-ounce design about the size of a deck of cards. Today, iPads in similar sizes and much larger capacities are now unambiguously an accessory as the cell phone. And with the advancement of cell phone, iPad really became less needed because you can listen to any music you want on your mobile or cellular phone. iPhone. The iPhone 2007 is a line of internet and multimedia-enabled smartphones designed and marketed by Apple Inc. The first iPhone was unveiled by Apple CEO Steve Jobs on January 9, 2007, and released on June 29, 2007. An iPhone can function as a video camera phone, can send text and receive visual voicemail, a portable media player, and an internet client with email and web browsing capabilities, and both Wi-Fi and 3G, 4G, and 5G connectivity. The user interface is built around the device's multi-touch screen, including a visual keyboard rather than a physical one. Third-party as well as Apple application software is available on the App Store for launched in mid-2008 and now has over 425 apps approved by Apple, or even more. These apps have diverse functionalities including games, reference GPS, navigation, social networking, security, and advertising for television shows, films, programs, celebrities, and a variety of other applications very useful to everyday users. The iPad 2010. Apple released the first iPad in April 2010 and sold 3 million of the devices in 80 days. During 2010, Apple sold 14.8 million iPad worldwide, representing 75% of the tablet PC sales at the end of 2010. What's the iPad? It's a line of tablet computers designed, developed, and marketed by Apple Inc., primarily as a platform for audio-visual media including books, periodicals, movies, music, games, and web content. Its size and weight falls between those of contemporary smartphones and laptop computers. The iPad runs the same operating system as the iPad Touch and iPhone and can run its own applications as well as iPhone applications. Without modification, the iPad will only run programs approved by Apple and distributed via the Apple App Store, with the exception of programs run inside the iPad web browser. Many other companies, in addition to Apple, started to really manufacture the iPads, and they are extremely successful. What is the next big idea? We have seen so many great ideas that made a lot of companies extremely rich, and lucky investors also very wealthy, those who jumped on the stack, unfortunately not me, jumped on these stacks and bought them at the right time. Now, let's try to find the big idea. And how can we find a big idea, the next big idea for mankind? 7 steps for big idea. The first thing, we need to find an opportunity. Without an opportunity, we cannot have an idea. We cannot have a problem to find. So once I have defined an opportunity, which is the most important step in generating a breakthrough invention, is finding the right opportunity. We do fact finding, problem finding, idea finding, solution finding, implementation or acceptance finding. Then we have a plan of action. So those 7 steps for big ideas, 7 steps for big ideas. We will go through each step in detail, but as brief as possible as well. The opportunity finding, the first idea, which is the first step, which is opportunity finding, is very important, is extremely crucial to find an idea. So we will have a lot of emphasis on this. The following guidelines would be helpful to discover a new challenge and possible opportunity. The first is thinking outside the box. This sounds useless term, but indeed it will allow you to see opportunities others cannot see or even dream of. Try always to allow your thoughts to flow wherever they take you in response to any stimuli. Fly high and think big. Then list all the challenges you may contemplate. If you get an idea, try to record it immediately or write it down. List to sketch or symbolize any desires or challenges you have in any aspect of your life and your work. List things you wish to have or things that you make your life easier, happier, more fulfilling, etc. After you run dry, extend yourself by jotting down additional thoughts. Following question to yourself or to professional or a professional or a friend or a cousin or a relative, other relative. Ask the following questions. What would you like to do, have, or accomplish? What idea would you like to get working? What do you wish would happen? What relationship would you like to improve? What would you like to be better? All these questions, you are searching for something called need, because the need is the mother of all inventions. So what we are searching need in people, what people really need to improve their life, to make them richer, happier, more satisfied. What make them really angry? What make them happy? What make them tense? How to reduce tense? How to reduce tension? Okay, what misunderstanding do you have? You ask all these questions. Those are very important questions. Ask yourself, ask your friend, ask any professional, ask even a cousin if he is willing to help you, give you a few minutes of his time. What have you accomplished? What do you have complained about? With whom would you like to get along better? What changes for the worse would you sense in attitude of others? What would you like to get others to do? What changes will you have to introduce? What takes you too long? What is wasted? What is too complicated? What wears you out? What would you like to organize better? Many of those questions. List at least 6 roles that you play in your life. Now imagine yourself in each role and make notes of any more desires or challenges that come to mind. Imagine sending a non-verbal message to a colleague regarding her suggestion. Then add more challenges to your list. Choose one challenge, desire, concern, and idea that you would like to investigate more, would most like to start doing something about. With all these questions, you may generate thousands of needs. You cannot waste your time and tackle every need and every problem. What you need to do is to pick up the need that you think it will sell. Think that you can monetize. The need that you think it will become a device, become a process, become a way to solve the problems. A device that people need and desire to have, they will buy. So the issue is what? Is the profitability and monetization of your idea. So in summary, a pro-acting stance, looking for a source and more opportunities in the aspects of life, not merely reacting to what happens and choosing the most promising prospects to process and to proceed forward. You focus on wishing, dreaming, imagining, fantasizing, challenging to discover more and more objectives and opportunities. But again, don't really branch out too much and you will waste a lot of time. Try to put your emphasis on the need that you think it will sell, that you think it will have a great prospect. 2. The next step of the second steps, once you have an opportunity, you do fact-finding. You have one problem to work on. Visualize the challenge you have just discovered, the opportunity that you just got. See in your imagination everything you know about the situation. What is happening or what is involved, when, where, how, and why it is happening. Let the pictures flow through your mind as if you are in a dream. So the following guidelines may help you all. List, sketch, or symbolize what you know about the desired, concern, description, or challenge chosen. Let the following question trigger more data about the situation, about this opportunity that you just discovered. What is and what is not happening? Who is or who is not concerned? When does or does not this occur? Where does or does not this occur? Why does or does not it happen? How does or does not it happen? So what, who, when, where, why, how? Ask this question many times. This sequence of questions you ask to allow you to have better understanding to the opportunity that you have. C. Make sure you have noted how you and others in your organization do and do not feel about the situation, the prospect of the idea. Defer judgment as you record all feelings to become aware of and try to understand the feelings of others. Glean more data from your memory. The sense of smell can help trigger this, perfumes, spices, etc. From the thoughts you just recorded, connect to your earlier facts about the situation. Get more data about your organization. Make notes about your strengths, personality, abilities, etc. with respect to the situation. Look for reviews from customers from elements of strength and compliments. Now add more thoughts. Add as many data as you can gather. With the help of all your senses, add any further thoughts that surface from your memory. With the facts collected, use your imagination to note details about the situation as vividly as you can. Close your eyes and imagine it as fully as you can. See it, feel it, hear it, taste it, and smell it. In summary, searching for other more detailed relationship implications and everything in our awareness. Using all senses and feeling to examine everything ever more about the idea that you focus on what, where, when, why, and how. These are questions. So once you have really a full understanding about the opportunity that you found, step number 1, and you find all the facts about this opportunity, you are ready now to go and define the problem. And third step, problem solving. Now, some people can merge those steps in less number of steps. That's okay. As long as you give really every step its right on attention and gather as much information as you. In the problem finding now, daydream, fantasize a scenario as how you find the situation look like. You dream about the problem. Ask as many questions as possible surrounding the situation. What might I? In what way might I decide? What might I do? Might I do not do? Okay, so you find all the problems about the idea. What kind of problems you have to solve to reach the final goal. And your goal is what? Your goal is the device, the process, the invention, the device that you are going to sell, the automobile, the iPhone. This is the breakthrough invention the next breakthrough invention that you seek. You need to gather all these problems. So I think for a peak of joyous experience in your life, let this joyous experience aspect of to current situation. Ask yourself questions such as, what made it peak? How might this adjust new current challenges? In what way might I? Stop and ponder, what is the real problem, the essence of it? What is my basic objective? What do I want to accomplish here? Ask why for every question you have listed. Why do I want to do this? Then answer in order to. So you need to find the problems that make this a product. So once you have the problems fully defined through a personal simple, present yourself, they write additional question, break down a broader problem, number of sub-problems. Okay, by breaking down your earlier questions into aspects, paths, stages. Okay. After all this work on defining the problem, okay, what do you wish to accomplish? And convert each wish into additional what, in what ways might I? From the in what ways might I question, select the most promising and interesting to work on first. Starting point for each idea finding. Effort. Save other problem statement for other time. In summary, seeking more and more new ways to view people, situation, and things, to view and express problems, challenges, and opportunity from diverse perspectives, and choosing the best ones for a creative response. The focus, in what ways might I? So let's backtrack. So what we did here, we found the opportunity first, in opportunity finding. Then we gathered all the facts about this opportunity. Then we try to define all the problems that we may encounter with to build the device. What kind of problems? We will ask every possible question until we gather all the problems. Once we are done with this, we go to step number 4. We find ideas to solve these problems. From the problem statement we have generated, we find all ideas that relate to every statement. Begin changes some of the details in the picture of the situation. Change the original picture bit by bit. The following guidelines also will help you in idea finding. A. Deferring judgment. Magnify, minify, rearrange. This is the Osborne checklist for the new ideas. Okay, those are the verbs that needed to visualize a solution for your opportunity. In searching for additional ideas for strange analogies to the situation, for example, if the situation has to do with office management, think of a matchbox and so on. This is what's called really reverse analogy. Okay, to learn more about reverse analogy, refer to presentation number 1 and presentation number 2. Idea finding. D. Listen to music that will tend to stir some response from you. As the music concludes, write or sketch more ideas. Close your eyes and imagine yourself in your own paradise. So take another imaginary steps to find ideas to solve the problems that you generated in previous steps. So in summary, making a new relationship, associations, connections, magnify, rearrange to solve the problems that will reach you to your level. So once you generate all these ideas, you find to the best solution in solution finding step. From any other ideas generated, chosen, you must find a solution that best serves your organization interest and the interest of the consumers. The solution that you will find is to solve the problems. The problems need to be solved to reach to the product that you can monetize. So in solution finding, from many ideas generated or chosen, you must find a solution at the best that will serve your organization interest and the interest of the consumer. Picture and feel how you might react to the kinds of changes you selected. The following guidelines also could be helpful in solution finding. List the sketch symbolize your evaluating criteria. When you develop your criteria, imagine that you are another person, consumer or inventor or investor or a thing and be in their skin to look at ideas from their point of view. Then add additional criteria from the new connection that you make. List as many wallet questions as will it cost too much? Will it adversely affect someone, etc.? Because your product has to be safe. You have to pick up the best solutions possible, okay, to secure and benefit the consumer. Visualize other reactions as well as tell them about your ideas. See their expressions and hear their comments. Then add any further criteria that you become aware of. Review the criteria that you have recorded. Choose those you feel are most important, adding any you wish from the following general criteria list. Effect or objective, individual or groups affected, cost involved, moral and legal implications of your product, tangibles involved. You have to study the legal implication. There are many inventors that invented great devices and they end up sued because they cause a lot of harm to the consumer. Tangibles involve materials, equipment, space, etc. Intangibles involves opinion, attitude, feeling, etc. New problems caused, difficulties of implementing and follow-up, repercussions of failure, timelines, fringe benefits, ease of testing and simulation. You need all these problems that they encounter with to simulate your product. It means you cannot put the product on the market immediately and you may end up really sued, as I said, or may have legal implications. You have to dig for every possible problem in your solution. So set up, you need the best solution. Set up a matrix or grid to evaluate all ideas that have to consider against each criteria that you selected. In summary, examining ideas or plans in more and more diverse ways from our more viewpoints and criteria, becoming aware of more and more consequences, implications, repercussions, tentative idea or solutions, seeking improvements, always improve your product. Effect on whom, effect on what? Will this idea be useful or harmful? What are the musts and what are the wants in every solution? Once you really studied the solution and you found the best solution, you go to implementation and acceptance finding. Now you will work with idea that you selected and you studied very well and you found it very safe, has no legal implications. So you go actually to implement. In the implementation phase, you will keep those multiple feelings and reactions in mind. Begin picturing some of the modifications that make your fantasy more workable or acceptable to yourself and others. Piece together all best image of yourself dealing with the original challenge or situation. Try for as much detail as you can till you reach the best possible implementation for your idea. And there are some guidelines here. Work now with the idea you would most like to use first for meeting the challenge that you have been working on. Defer judgment. Anybody you talk to in your corporation, you must defer judgment and let produce a free flow of suggestion for gaining acceptance, because you need to implement this idea with acceptance of everyone, because at the end you are serving everyone. Close your eyes and relax, then provide a moment of incubation to your idea and the ways of its implementation. Close your eyes again, visualize modification as you adapt your idea to suit all those concerns and satisfy all the credits. List additional ways of getting your idea to work. Emphasize specifics, particularly those which are verifiable or demonstrable, or you can demonstrate. Apply the checklist: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Who should do it? What should be done? When should it be done? Why is it necessary? How should it be done? Think of your favorite food, sport, or hobby. Try to relate something from any one of these to the idea you want to get working effectively. Always defer judgment as you jot down associations. Now spell out in details a plan for them. Close your eyes and relax fully. See yourself putting your implementation plan into action as you would like to see it to happen. Add further adaptations to your recorded plan. Imagine and record a new challenge that might result from implementing your plan. As a final step, make any modifications desirable as a result of the new challenges that you just listed. What might I do to gain acceptance? Ask the following question. What might I do to gain enthusiasm? What might I do to ensure effectiveness? What ways might I use criteria to show advantages? What other advantages might there be? What disadvantages might there be? How might I overcome these? What additional resources might help? What a new challenge the idea suggests? How might I anticipate and meet these challenges? When, where, why? What objections, difficulties, limitations, obstacles might there be? How might I overcome them? How might I improve, safeguard, or enhance the idea? How might I help with the idea? What groups might help? What might contribute special strengths or resources? Who might add an unexpected element? Who might gain from the idea? Who might need persuasion? Who might I reward myself or others for help carry out the idea? How might I retest or simulate my idea? What first step might I take to initiate action? What next step might I follow? How, when, where, why? What timing might I use? What schedule might I follow? What follow-up might I provide to measure the progress? What follow-up might allow corrective measures? What follow-up might I deal with unexpected repercussions? What special time might I use? What special circumstances or occasion might I use? What special locations might I use? How, when, where, why? In deciding when to close on the plan of action, watch real hits or ahas in acceptance finding. The more stretch, the more likelihood for ahas will be experienced. If that happens, the plan will be richer, more motivating, and more innovative. It is advisable to carry on the judgment of the plan by one individual rather than by team or organization. In summary, in the implementation of acceptance finding, seeking ever more ways of making idea solution workable, more acceptable, stronger, effective. You focus on in what ways might I get this idea moving? Might, what might, where might, when might, why might, how might, what else, how about might not. So once you finish all the implementation findings or the acceptance findings, you go to the plan of action. Now you're ready to move and implement the real idea. If your time permits, have the client, maybe the manager, CEO, go back to the problems or idea to clean anything that might be visible in the plan of action. Be sure the client gives the first step to be taken within the next few days or week at most. Emphasize that nothing is final. This is the best plan currently available for your device and your action. Urge the client to remain open to other thoughts. Point out that it is unnecessary to have an aha or a lot of ahas to have accomplishment. Imagine where the plan of action to be in effect, then add any modifications seen or felt during the imagination. Feel proud of your accomplishment. In summary, making more and more happen, making ever more small starts, planning for more next step, turning ever more wishes into actions, taking one constructive action rather than making many New Year's resolutions that only unfortunate. Focus. Recognizing that nothing is final, nothing is black and white. Today's best plan becoming tomorrow's challenge for further everything becoming positive. Remember always, many people before us, before you, were able to reach the star. Why not you? Let's try. And let's try the next big idea of the next breakthrough invention. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe by clicking on the blue circle. Hopefully to see you soon in the next presentation. Sincerely, Dr. Hassan.